Okay, folks, sorry to keep you waiting, and yep, we're back to the old time of 9 p.m. UK. It's just one of those little things that when I've got time off from work, we revert, should I say, back to the former time. You know, it's just as much a, how do I word this? Kind of a treat for the audience as it is for my co-host. So it works out being beneficial to pretty much everyone. Sadly,
Hi, Sean.
Hey, Sean. Sadly, we do not have Madam President joining us this evening, and I'm simply going to say IRL matters. I'm not going to go into the specifics because it's not my place to do so. But she's where she needs to be right now. And I'm not going to say anything more than that because, again, not my place to say. Also, none of my business.
That's their business alone.
Yes. We're hoping we can get Raiden join us soon. I was hoping we could have gotten Win, but she's got IRL matters of her own to attend to. But I will send out a happy birthday message to Kaiju Noir. Many happy returns, good sir.
And if you'd like to help him, don't forget he's got his comic book, Primal Warrior Draco Azul, out on Amazon Kindle and Comixology, as well as the other tie-in novels to his works.
Yes. Raiden appears to be coming online because I've just noticed he...
Oh, hello?
Speak of the devil.
Sorry, I'm late. Had food.
Needs must, good sir. Needs must.
Well, it's not pleasant to go on something with a hungry stomach, is it?
Mm-hmm.
I think one Owl House fan comic says an empty stomach leads to a bad mood. I think that's factual because
I get that. I can vouch for that.
yeah.
There's the term called hangry.
Yeah, something I see very much from Butters the Bean. That cat has no filter. But then again, neither did Rufus back in the day. Be like, Mao, hungry human, Mao, feed me now, and all that jazz. Let's see. What to... Ah, yes. Well... Oh, I hate it when... Whenever I've had to free up some virtual space on the computer because for whatever reason mine just eats through it like Lord knows what. But because I've cleared my cache registry, you have to accept like all cookies again when you go onto various websites and what have you, so that's just annoying. The thoughts of the new World Heavyweight title from the WWE, and apparently the new world title, according to Sports Illustrated, may take some of the shine off of Roman Reigns. The new world heavyweight... It's getting to this. The new World Heavyweight Championship inevitably muddles the previously crystal clear main event picture. I thought it was already crystal clear. Roman is Vince's boy, which is disturbing. Also, he was basically being the new Brock Lesnar. Wrestles when he wants to, and wrestles for more money. Which, personally, I don't think is fair to the other superstars that come in and bust themselves week in, week out, only to see this guy still holding the title for nearly 1,000 days. But that's neither here nor there. Two certainties emerged this week during this week's edition of Monday Night Raw. First, a new world champion will be crowned, and second, Roman Reigns will be holding on to his title for even longer. Yay! Triple H unveiled WWE's newest men's title, the World Heavyweight Championship, during a segment on Raw. A new champion will be crowned at Night of Champions in May, which is no accident, as that was done to please business partners in Saudi Arabia by adding intrigue to the show in Jeddah. Originally, the card was intended to be King of the Ring, but it was changed to Night of Champions for this specific purpose. The decision to add a new world champion has its pros and cons, but undoubtedly adds a convoluted element to the main event. Right now, there is zero question about the top of the WWE hierarchy. Roman Reigns holds both the Universal and the WWE title, and he is the single biggest star in the company. When surrounded by his bloodline entourage of Paul Heyman, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa, his presence becomes even more magnified. A primary drawback to unveiling of a new title is that, invariably, it weakens Reigns. Yeah, but it also gives whichever brand he goes to, the opposing brand can actually have a world champion. This is starting to feel, as I said earlier, very reminiscent of whenever Brock only wrestled when he wanted to, and when Brock took the undisputed title to SmackDown in 2002, leaving Raw without a world title. As he approaches a historic 1,000-day reign as champ, the moment that he loses the belt will be weakened, even if only slightly, because there will be another men's world champion already in place. Another issue is the timing. This is being forced to fit the upcoming draft, which is purposely being held ahead of the Saudi show. That does not take into consideration the Bloodline's incredible popularity, as they are producing a storyline that is carrying the entire industry. Shifting to 2 world champions is a move to make when business is lagging, which is definitely not the case here. It is somewhat of a surprise that the decision to split into 2 champions did not come from CEO Vince McMahon. Levesque oversees WWE Creative, not if the last couple of Raws are anything to go by. And he believes that Raw needs a world champion. I do agree with that point, because the whole point of unifying the WWE and the Universal title was so that he would be on both shows. But as we've seen, Reigns is quite happy to stay on SmackDown, only come to Raw when it suits him. And it'll be a shock if Reigns does not take the undisputed Universal Championship with him to SmackDown, which then opens the open playing field on Raw for a new champion. You know, at this point in time, I'm just referring to it as the Undisputed Championship, because saying Undisputed Universal Champion is just like, stop. It's a mouthful. You keep things simple, you keep it effective, my opinion. But it is worth questioning whether each brand, Raw and SmackDown, needs its own world champion. There is no reason Raw couldn't build another Gunther, the reigning Intercontinental Champion, as its focal point. But then again, it goes back to my point. Because Roman doesn't wrestle on Raw as often as he should do, considering he is also the WWE Champion, you're leaving Raw without a world championship. Because as far as I'm concerned with regards to the Undisputed title, either have Roman wrestle on both shows or end the brand extension. Because what is the point of having one world champion if he only chooses to be on one brand and only wrestle when it suits him? Yet, per multiple sources close to Raw, this is how Levesque prefers the setup and structure heading into the draft, which will begin Friday on SmackDown. A prevailing positive in this situation is that the decision allows many members of the roster a real chance of winning a world title, one that has not otherwise existed during Reigns' ongoing run of dominance. Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor. Balor is overdue another run. That man has been cheated out of titles more times than I'd care to mention since his tenure in the WWE. All immediately come to mind, as well as Sami Zayn, another one who should have been given at least one reign, as people could carry the belt and give it meaning. If someone becomes extremely popular, like Zayn head up to WrestleMania 39, that guy was nuclear over.
Yep.
The opportunity now exists to give a title run to that person. This was not only the major news to break to Monday Night Raw. CM Punk briefly and very visibly appeared backstage, speaking with members of the roster and even requesting a few minutes of Levesque's time before being asked to leave. Considering he swore blindly he would never wrestle again. Raiden, I'm going to have to start washing soap out of my mouth in a bit, but I'm starting to see the perspective that Oni's got. It's just like, Punk, what are you doing? He's like, you sued that company for $20 million. But then again, they allowed Sable to come back in after she had a lawsuit with the company in '99, so... Given the acrimonious nature surrounding his departure from WWE and the lawsuit that followed, as I just mentioned, it was a surprise that he would be at Backstage Raw, even with the show being held in Rosemont, Illinois, near his hometown of Chicago. If it was a play for publicity as he works to return to an on-screen role in AEW, and as I understand from people like Jericho, he's not wanted there either. It was certainly an interesting choice. After now, Punk is expected to appear on Dynamite in Chicago on Wednesday, June 21. While it would add a different element to AEW's programming, the situation where Punk remains tenuous. Punk is not the focus for WWE. All eyes are on the upcoming draft as well as the crowning of a new World Heavyweight Champion. And just for context, folks, I will even bring up the image that the new WWE World Heavyweight title belt is, and on the one hand, it is an improvement over the Universal and WWE Championship, but Steve might look at that and think, what? Because I like the fact that they've gone back to the big gold belt design, like, Ric Flair's championship in WCW, but I think it just would have been better if they'd not had the WWE plates on either side, because, alright, as far as world title belts go, this is probably one of the better looking belts since the Undisputed title design from 2002, because I enjoyed John Cena's spinner belt for a time before it got to a point where I thought this belt was specifically for Cena. The fact that other wrestlers have this belt kind of is disrespecting, what the WWE title means from a visual perspective, because when you think of really good world title designs, you think of the big winged eagle belt that the likes of Bret Hart, Taker, and even Shawn Michaels had, and then you think of the Attitude Era winged eagle that The Rock, Austin, Triple H, Kane, and
hot take.
Yes.
A part of me doesn't like that belt. I mean, it's impressive, but I feel like it was just too big for my liking. I feel like the original Winged Eagle one looked much better.
Well, I suppose with the Winged Eagle, it was more of a emphasis on width, whereas, as you say, the Attitude Era Winged Eagle was much larger in terms of a circular oval shape. I tend to gravitate towards that particular incarnation because, like most kids in the Attitude Era, I grew up being a Stone Cold fan. Rock being a very close second, because as has been said, Austin and Rock were super popular in the Attitude Era, but if Rock was, say, a 9.7 with the fans, Stone Cold was a 9.9. His popularity was just that little bit bigger and louder.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't show up on Celebrity Deathmatch for sporadic appearances if you're not that popular,
I mean, heck, even Mick Foley ended up on Celebrity Deathmatch, which is funny. I remember him saying in an interview on Sunday Night Heat, beating Ernest Hemingway is probably maybe 1 or 2 steps down from winning my first world title, but several steps above teaming up with Al Snow, which I thought, it's like, that's savage, but I get it.
Off topic, I definitely remember the episode after he appeared in. It was basically, I think it was on MTV at the time when Sunday Night he was on MTV. He did host like the best of WWF, where WWF superstars showed up, like from, of course, Stone Cold, Vince McMahon, The Undertaker one time in that Halloween special, and of course himself.
I love the Celebrity Deathmatch episode where it was Austin versus McMahon. That was definitely one of the best, and the fact that McMahon actually lent his voice for that as well, it's like, okay, that was cool. As far as I'm concerned, with regards to not only the world title situation, but the situation with Roman, the WWE are obviously intent on getting Roman to 1,000 days as champion.
So basically, Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah, and he said in an interview, once we get to myself to 1,000 days, why not get me to 2,000 days? And I don't think the audience is ready for that. I mean, that would have been like, what if Triple H held on to the title that long during the Reign of Terror era?
Honestly, if you ask me, the Reign of Terror already felt like forever.
Yeah, but because he is the boss's son-in-law, which means nepotism is at large, he was able to politic backstage to be like, no, I'm not playing second fiddle to Brock. Send him to SmackDown, and we'll bring in the World Heavyweight title. Now,
or the time of the 2004 draft when he got drafted to SmackDown, he was like, that is going to happen, and then he opted out to stay on Raw while Booker T and RVD got drafted to SmackDown.
I do like the savagery at One Night Stand in 2005 when Paul Heyman said, there's a reason why you were WWE champion for 10 months. It's because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. I'm like,
that was funny.
There are a lot of things I question Mr. Heyman for, especially with the way with some of his business booking, but in terms of knowing what works for a story and when to break kayfabe, he's a genius.
Because... there's a reason he's credited for the success of SmackDown from 2002 to 2003. Of course he has his questionable stories that will not work today, like the whole the whole Tori Wilson, Dawn Marie, Earl Wilson situation.
No. I mean, young man in his 20s, MJ Knight is like, hey, this is great. Where it's just like, there's a website for.
I remember before I was fully into wrestling at the time, like I think at the beginning of 2003, I'm like, I saw that. I saw this. I'm like, what is this?
I mean, it's storylines like that that Trish said no to during early 2002, because the setup was, I think, McMahon, so you see where this is going, wanted her in a storyline where I think it would have been her and Tori Wilson would have been a thing, and Trish said, look, I'm not comfortable with doing that. I'm not that way inclined. And as a result, McMahon punished her and said, well, you're dropping the women's title to Jazz. And I'm just like, wow, that's petty.
Yeah. You already know his pettiness knows no bounds.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, Tori must have been, how do I word this? Comfortable enough to do storylines like that, because she'd been in other storylines where it would have been her and Billy Gunn with Jamie Noble and Nydia, which,
Let's not forget she came from WCW.
yep, there was a lot of stuff in there from what I understand that's like, okay. And then of course there was the implied elements with her and Sable. Let's not forget what happened at Judgment Day 2003, and King's eyes looked like they were either gonna pop out of his head, and the one at the end after Tori kissed Sable, Jerry is just open mouth, looks to Jerry as if to say, did I just witness that? It's like, yeah, King, we witnessed it as well. And not being funny, and I'm just going to say this as discreetly and tactfully as I can possibly be, given what little Tori Wilson was wearing at that point. At that point, it's just like, girl, you might as well have just been walking around in the ring naked, because there was very, very, very little keeping her modesty, if at all. But to be fair to Tori, again, I think she's just very comfortable doing those sort of things. Whether she would do those storylines today if she were to return, I wouldn't like to say. I will say though, if it hadn't have been for her back injury, she would have been the first Divas champion, because that title was created for her. And as far as I'm concerned, she still deserves to be a world champion, because I think she is one of the best athletes that the WWE had that never won a title. I mean, granted, in terms of in-ring capabilities, alright, she was no Molly Holly, she was no Trish, but she could back it up, because it's a similar thing with Cena. Not the most coordinated, not the most scientific, but the man knew how to grind out a result. And with Tori,
actually, the thing with Cena, he didn't get good until like a few years later, especially like with opponents that are well beloved, like for example, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still say their classic at Royal Rumble 2017, aside from the results, is easily one of the best they had. And fun fact, that it was all contested in the ring. They didn't go outside once.
And also, the two other matches that brought the best out of Cena, WrestleMania 23 against Shawn Michaels. I still say to this day, Shawn should have won that match. And Money in the Bank 2011 with CM Punk. I mean,
of course,
we have our opinions about Punk these days, but that match, that was easily match of the year in 2011, with easily the best pay-per-view of the year. When a grade B pay-per-view outdoes WrestleMania, although Mania 27 wasn't exactly anything.
27 is still the worst. I mean the stage set is still looks great, but it's not an excuse on how just poor that Mania was.
I mean, Oni and I have had our opinions before having the hindsight with what happened with Edge, because you hear about a world champion going on first and you're like, what? But then you hear like a couple of weeks later and it's like, awkward. And then the fact that a year later, WrestleMania 28, it's Sheamus and Daniel Bryan for the world title and it's over in 18 seconds, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, there was nothing wrong with either Sheamus nor Bryan, but for whatever reason, it was thought of, okay, let's squash Daniel Bryan in under 30 seconds. And I'm like, this is one of your most talented wrestlers, and you're treating him as an afterthought. Nice job, Vince. But to get us back on track, I'm just going to say this. It's actually a good thing to bring in another world championship situation, because Raw needs a world champion. Yes, they have... because the United States title's on Raw, ain't it?
Yes.
So, the way I look at it is, you need that one world champion there, because otherwise we're going to end up with a situation before Bischoff introduced the world title in 2002. You'd have essentially nothing to go for on Raw, from either a middleweight belt or to the tag titles or the women's title. And from what I understand, the plan with regards to Roman Reigns with the Universal title is, it's either once Roman gets to 1,000 days or is defeated, the Universal title will be retired and it'll just be the WWE title. So then you'll go back to just 2 world champions, because technically at the moment, dependent on how you look at this, technically we have 3 world titles. It's just that the WWE and Universal title are merged into one. And again, I'm trying not to repeat myself, folks. It's something I'm trying to work on. As far as I'm concerned with that situation, if you've only got one world champion, but he's not prepared to wrestle on both shows, then either make him wrestle on both shows, or just have 2 world titles again, or do away with the brand extension. Because, as we've said before, I liked the original setup in 2002 where the women's and the WWE Undisputed Champions were exclusive to Raw and SmackDown. But then they had it where there are respective world champions on both brands. But since the brand extension is not likely to end anytime soon, even though they have fused the tag titles back together, then both brands need their respective world champions. That is all I'm going to say with regards to the matter, because I know I'm known for going off on tangents, and it's something I'm trying to work on, so I will say no more. Raiden, your 2 cents on them bringing the World Heavyweight Championship back, the design of it, and who do you think should be the first new World Heavyweight Champion since Randy Orton?
Okay. First things first. It's about freaking time they did this. Also, the only reason they did this was to shut up USA, because too many times I've heard stories of hey, we need a world title, we need a world champion on our network. So, as always, the Fed to me is always known to just prolong things while people complain, and though they don't listen a lot of times, especially with Triple H, even though he says that he listened to fans, but whatever, neither here or there, they did it. Second off, the title to me, about time, like I said, about time they did it, but I don't know, go back to the big gold belt, man. It's like, I don't know. And the fact that Triple H introduced it, that shows, like you said, shows a lot of really messed up nepotism. I'm like, it's cool. Big old belt is good. Big. Sorry, I cannot speak today. It's cool that the big gold belt is back, but like, I don't know. You could have just did something with a different title, you know. Also, I'm gonna say it. That title looks photoshopped to me. And like the way that the belt looks, like, like I'm glad that there's another world title, but like, yeah. And another thing, should have did away with the Universal title as soon as Roman won that WWE title. Just like unify that big world title, but then you have a situation where he's now Roman's a part timer. So there's that. If it was up to me, I would use the I would have used the Andre the Giant title because I'm a stickler for classic belts. It's the main reason why I love it's the reason why I love when Cody changed the oval design to the classic IC title with the white strap. I don't know, man. It's been my favorite title since then. So let me see if I can find a picture of the Andre the Giant title.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, here it is. Now, if you look at the belt, I feel like you could just like update it a little bit. Of course, you can have the WWE logo over here. And I don't know, man. I would change up like the plates a little bit, but there's that. And one thing, look, the side plates are cool, but I've always been a stickler for tradition. I would have just kept the name plates. I mean, I would keep the side belts, but I would just keep the name plates that you would tell, like, hey, the title's mine. So there's that. So yeah, like I said, glad they finally did it. I'm just not a fan of the design. And who would be the champion? Honestly, it would just be Cody. But after what happened at Mania, finish the story, especially from what I've heard on Draft. He's drafted to Raw, and I think Roman was drafted to SmackDown. So yeah, kind of screwed the pooch on that one. But yeah, I think all points to Cody, I guess. Even though you already did the damage, but yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Oh no, I totally agree. It should be Cody because WrestleMania, that was his moment, and you know, McMahon will be McMahon, and we're not going to go down that road again. Steven, you calling a mulligan?
I think he's still muted.
It might be because he was having his dinner. Oh, he's calling a mulligan.
I was having some food, but I'm pulling a mulligan again. Not familiar with wrestle knowledge, so a mulligan.
No, it's fine, dude. It's fine. Let's see. Right on to.
I will say this with this title design. Me and WWE and Hope will never be like a thing ever again, especially with their decisions. I'm just saying, I'm just hoping, man, like we get more redesigns of titles, because like how many times we're gonna see the same old designs with the women's titles and those god awful penny design tag titles. I wish they never changed that shit in the first place, but yeah, I'm just saying that because I'm sick of them tag title belts. I hate it. I've always hated it.
I mean, I didn't see what was wrong with they call it the World Tag Team titles. Like, no, they're just the WWE Tag Team titles. They only call them the World Tag titles, not to confuse with SmackDown's WWE Championships in late 2002. I do agree, the penny designs, I'll just bring it up real quick, folks. Just bring it up real quick, just to show images. Folks, that's the, current design of it. I mean, it's of the, the Raw design, but it's the same on SmackDown and when it was just the WWE Tag Team titles. I mean, this design's been around since 2010, and it's not cute anymore. It needs to go. Needs to go out with the tide, and we'll just leave it at that. Now, onto something a little more pleasant. Yes. Power Rangers share reaction to new Yellow Ranger. One of the biggest revelations to come out of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always was the introduction of a brand new Yellow Ranger following Trini Kwan's death to kick off the Power Rangers 30th anniversary special. And two of the stars behind the Power Rangers reunion shared how they felt about working with the new Yellow Ranger, Charlie Kirsch's Ming Kwan. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers celebrated its 30th with a special reunion that brought back original stars David Yost and Walter Jones for a new adventure. But it started with the death of one of their own, Trini. Addressing the real-life passing of Trini actress Thuy Trang, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always then sets the stage for Charlie Kirsch's Ming to take her mother's place and become the new Yellow Ranger before it's all said and done. Power Ranger stars David Yost and Walter Jones exclusively told comicbook.com about how it was working with Kirsch and ushering in this new generation of the franchise after all these years of missing in action for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. I love the fact she was so well prepared. I mean, she worked hard to be ready for every scene, for every physical challenge, and yet she was still very pliable, Jones began when detailing working with Charlie Kirsch's new Yellow Ranger. When you're acting with someone, if they're stuck in a way of doing things, if they're not reacting to what you give them, that can make us seem very still, but she was very good at being persistent in the moment and taking everything that was given to her. She really embodied her character well, and you could really feel that she had researched Trini and she was always prepared, Yost said. Then he continued with, I remember one time, Billy always has those long lines, whatever, and long words that he's got to say, and I kept getting stumbled. I'd stumble on my line, and she'd whisper my line to me in my ear. And one time she's like, why am I the only one that knows everyone's lines? And just so I thought that was funny. She's very smart and a super talented martial artist, and she was such a great addition. I'm really excited to see where her career goes. In terms of Kirsch becoming a new Yellow Ranger, Yost added the following. I think she makes a great Yellow Ranger, and she's got a lot of natural talent and a lot of natural gifts, so it was a lot of fun to work with her, because obviously it can be intimidating to work with Walter and I, the two guys that started this whole thing, and we could have been jerks, but I don't think we were. We all had a lot of fun together. Jones ended with, she was very well loved and embraced, and she felt very comfortable with it. Are you hoping to see more of Charlie Kirsch's new Yellow Ranger in the future? Let us know in the comments below. Oh, absolutely. Charlie was just so fun, energetic, quirky. Dan said it best, Cody got hosed. Oh, absolutely, dude. Glad to see you here, by the way. Right from when you first see Ming, she just has so much energy, enthusiasm, and, she just has this presence around her. And it's like I've said before, she doesn't have her mother's patience or wisdom, but she has her heart. And, she was definitely a lot more vocal than Thuy was as a Yellow Ranger. I mean, it's not to say that Thuy wouldn't say anything or yell anything out when fighting, because when you're in martial arts, it happens. But Charlie was definitely a lot more vocal with regards to speaking lines than Thuy was, because Thuy was, as Trini, she was very quiet, reserved. It's one of those people, she didn't say much, but she always chose her words carefully. There's that very reserved, elegant quality about her, and I think that's one of the reasons why Thuy was very beloved as Trini, and why she is, so sadly missed. Raiden, do you agree with Walter and David's sentiments?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I enjoyed the journey of Min. She tries to say like, I'm ready for the path. Oh, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. But like, when she tries to morph, it won't allow her. So it's at the point where, where Zach with his wisdom says, "Hey, listen, I know you want to do this, but being a ranger is just more than vengeance. It's about like accepting a code. You have to do things for honor than for vengeance." And luckily, like, she gets it. Well, for other things, then you know, it's the underdog tale. You know what I mean? So yeah, I appreciated her performance, and hopefully, in a sense, we get more of her in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. Steven, your 2 cents?
I have to agree. The thing is, following Once and Always, the lingering thing on my mind is, where do they go next from here? Because considering what they implied that they were going to do towards the end of the special, I'm not going to say on here because some people may not have seen it, so spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with the with another passing of an OG Ranger, will that be affecting what they could do in a future special?
It's a very good question.
Because I think you said it before that, which I agree with, that JDF was a very, very big part of the Power Rangers franchise.
Absolutely.
Oh, Dan's just written a comment in the chat.
So this scenario doesn't have to focus on a specific reason, but for the next Power Rangers Anniversary special, I'd like to see Tommy's son, JJ, inherit the... So, are Tommy and Catherine a thing? Or is it... Oh, wow, okay.
I believe in Soul of the Dragon, yes. According to that timeline, they ended up getting together and had the son known as JJ, who, towards the end of that story, ended up becoming the new green SPD Ranger.
With the dragon shield, if I remember.
That is correct.
I'm just gonna say this as is. At some point in the Power Rangers timeline, especially if Hasbro are not going to do a reboot with the TV series, they need to address it. Like, where is Tommy Oliver? Because it's one thing in a comic book because, you could say the character's still there and not have it be portrayed by JDF. But
you can still do stuff like that.
But with regards to the TV continuity, it's like you have to address it.
Yeah,
especially after the whole how a few things ended up leaking out about the special and how JDF felt towards it in specifically. I think Kaiju may have mentioned it before, but it's better to look it up yourself if you want to know the full reasons.
Because, as we said before, I thought it was a little bit cheap to have like archive audio files when they're in their helmets. I mean, obviously with Twee, they didn't have any choice because she's sadly been gone since 2001. Whereas, to my understanding, JDF was still alive when they were filming Once and Always, so they could have just either written the script to where he would have been more inclined to participate, but I think even he was at that point now where he didn't hate Power Rangers, but he felt like he had contributed enough and he wanted to be known for other things other than being Tommy Oliver. So whatever special that they do in the future, and like whether it's the Mighty Morphin special, Zeo, or heaven forbid even Turbo, they'll say, "What happened to Tommy?" It's like you can't keep ignoring it. It's like you addressed Twee. Granted, it's 22 years since it happened with her, but you need to address it. Yeah. And on that note,
sorry to bring it down.
That's all good.
But it's just something that I felt that I needed to say.
No. I feel that. And now onto something that will make Raiden go from regular Raiden to Super Saiyan Raiden. Like, I need this now. Creed is to get his own comic book.
What?
Boom.
Okay.
Hello.
Boom Studios has announced an official Creed comic book series after the license from MGM. The publisher confirmed the news in a press release, revealing they're working with Michael B. Jordan's production company Outlier Society and Chartoff Winkler for a 4-issue series set 10 years after Creed 3. Star of the franchise and director of the most recent movie, Jordan collaborated with co-writers LaToya Morgan and Jai Jameson on the series, which features acclaimed artists Wilton Santos and colorist DJ Chavis or Chavi. I don't know. Some people's pronunciations are different, so if I've got it wrong, apologies in full. On artistic duties, the series will be released in June. I couldn't say no at the opportunity to dive deeper into Adonis's storyline, the story of the Creed dynasty, LaToya Morgan said in a statement. As a super fan of the Rocky and Creed franchises, this is a dream come true. I'm so excited for fellow fans to dive into this comic book goodness. It's been the opportunity of a lifetime to play in the sandbox with such an iconic franchise filled with incredible and complex characters. The art I've seen from Wilton has blown my mind, and to top it all off, I get to collaborate with my longtime friend and mentor, LaToya. I can't wait for people to see what we got planned. The new series is described as follows. The Creed comic book series begins 10 years after the events of Creed 3. Adonis Creed is out of the ring, but not out of the game, as he trains, along with his manager wife, Bianca. The next champion, his daughter, Amara, now an amateur boxer, but with Adonis and Bianca reluctant to pit their daughter against more dangerous opponents, Amara feels like her career is at a standstill and she's hungry for more. Amara will have to find another trainer, someone who's not afraid of defying Adonis but still knows how to fight, to teach her to fight like Creed, who's up for the challenge of training a young boxer to become the next champion fighter. As a huge fan of Rocky and Creed, the series is a dream project come to life with an absolute all-star team of creators and talent, said Matt Gagnon, Boom Studios. It's humbling to be a part of the ongoing legacy, and we can't wait for fans to discover what's in store for the next generation of legendary champions. Check out the variant covers from the first issue along with a preview of the interior art below, and that looks good. Wow. I like the one where she's swinging her left hook. That looks really good. Nice. Wow. There are some talented artists. Wow. And they've really captured Michael B. Jordan's likeness down to a perfect art. Wow. I haven't seen the 3 Creed movies, but I know that they're super over with not just the Rocky fans, but the fans of the new generation that get to have a Rocky of their regeneration. And I say, yay, this looks good. Raiden, thoughts?
Yeah, this is a huge shock to me, and after seeing the just seeing the artwork, I'm like, all right, I'm down. I'm down. Can't wait to read it. And honestly, the whole plot, I saw it coming, especially after watching Creed 3. Just the daughter is an avid, just avid fan of boxing, and I like the conflict between between Adonis and Bianca about it, especially because she's deaf. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
I did
yeah,
not
yeah.
know that.
Even the little girl who plays her is actually deaf in real life. And when you check out the movie, I like how it was so natural to have Michael B. Jordan do sign language just to help her out. I feel like aside from the fights, I think those scenes with Donnie and Amar are the heart of the movie. So yeah, like I said, the plot I kind of saw coming a mile away. I thought they were going to do it for a movie, but like, all right, I'm I am I'm all in for this. I can't wait to read. Honestly, I mean, Boom Studios once again is just showing that you could take a property and just like expand that universe. So yeah, like I said, looking forward to this.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine if Boom Studios had gotten the license for the Sonic the Hedgehog comics. Just saying.
And considering IDW has recently had to give the pink slip to about 39% of its staff, it seems that they would have done a better choice than IDW.
I mean, let's be real, and I'll say this as briefly as possible. In 2017, pretty much the majority of the Sonic fan base wanted it to be Boom Studios, considering the work that they were doing. Was it 2017 they were doing the Shattered Grid storyline?
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, my brother was collecting those comics at the time, and it was well done. I mean, well done. It's like the people that were writing it were either heavily researched it to the point where it's ingrained in their memory, or they grew up with Power Rangers. I tend to find, in most cases, if you get somebody that grows up loving a particular franchise, they will have the passion and determination to envision the story the way it should be for a modern audience without deviating from what made it work. So, particularly with the way they have the original 5 Rangers, their personalities are intact. It's just that you have modern aesthetics from smartphones, tablets, the internet, and what have you. Because the internet was introduced in Power Rangers around Zeo, particularly with the computer virus, where one of the Machine Empire's monsters affects the Megazord, and they had to have an antivirus program that Adam actually acquired off one of the students that actually was fed into the command center's computers that actually cleaned the virus up. But no, I mean, to be able to, like I say, take the characters that we knew them and their personalities are intact, but you just drop them in the modern age, it's like, that's how you do it. And Sean's just also said Boom could do Mega Man as well. Not being heavily immersed into Mega Man, I can't really give an opinion to that, although I did hear that the Sonic and Mega Man crossover was well received from the fans.
Yeah, Worlds Collide. I collected that in the volumes, and it was a pretty good story for what it was.
All right.
Honestly, when it comes to Mega Man, I hope Boom Studios adapt Battle Network. For me, it's my all-time favorite incarnation of Mega Man.
Nice.
Second favorite goes to Legends, which, from what I'm seeing with Capcom, they just released the Battle Network collection, Legacy Collection, which I will get in the future. Trust me.
Nice.
So with this strategy, they're definitely re-releasing a lot of their classic games. If it gets much generation, they gets a sequel. I mean, technically, it's what happened with Mega Man back then, especially with I think the last one was Mega Man 11, if I remember.
Nice.
So hopefully, with with Battle Network, it gets another game and hopefully another anime. Because for me, I love Mega Man NT Warrior back in the day and Access.
Mhm.
Nice.
So, not to mention, also, I hope to do the same thing for Legends. Because if you remember, way back then, there were talks for Mega Man Legends 3, but that got canceled. And that was during that very dark period for Capcom. So,
Wow.
hopefully
Yeah.
that happens. And more properties. Seriously.
Mm.
And if a certain adorable one is listening, I would kill for another Rival Schools game.
Nice. Nice. Steven, your thoughts on the fact that Creed's getting a comic book series?
I'm very glad to see Boom Studios getting more IPs out there in the comic world, because considering how things have grown stale and controversial in the last few years,
Yes.
I think Boom Studios has been hitting hard so far. I mean, the multiple Power Rangers stuff they've been doing, whether it be the multiple series crossovers, which I'm finding really enjoyable at the moment. The recent reboot of the Buffy IP, and now with Creed.
Honestly, I'm still waiting for the Power Rangers Justice League animated movie. Give it to me. I want it now.
Then again, you've got some big shoes to fill there with certain roles they need to fill in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly with Trini and Tommy, I think what would be the best thing to do, and this is purely my perspective, if they ever do get that animated crossover movie, find not necessarily sound-alikes, but voice actors that had the same passion as Twee and JDF, just so that, okay, they don't sound so much like them to the point where it's eerie, but you can tell that the enthusiasm is the same, so where it's more of a compliment and an honor to them, rather than something that's either plagiarizing or trying to sound too much exactly the same. So it's more where, like I say, it's more of honoring and trying to do their own thing, but have the same heart for it. Take that as you will. Okay, and on to the next one. And the Raiden Lord is probably going to enjoy this idea as well. District 9 director wants to make a Metroid movie.
Oh?
Ooh, hello.
District 9 director Neil Blomkamp is all on the idea of helming a Metroid movie, and I see a certain random one perking up at this idea. Over the last few decades, Hollywood has frequently tried and failed, or had middling success. Just look at the Resident Evil series. Not sorry.
Oh, Lord.
When you reboot a series because the original wasn't doing so well and the reboot is not that well received, to quote Madam President, you done goofed. However, in the last several years, the code appears to have been cracked. The adaptations have gotten significantly better across film and TV, even with the worst ones being at least somewhat enjoyable, albeit not perfect. On the other hand, the big hits like The Last of Us have been showered in praise, helping people realize these rich games can make for great prestige television or massive blockbusters in theaters. Although the Super Mario Bros. Movie has gotten mixed reactions from critics, it is on track to make $1 billion this weekend. Congrats, by the way. And has been a hit with general audiences. Nintendo has confirmed its plans to make more movies as a result, and many are hoping to see franchises like Zelda, Metroid, and more make their way to the big screen. Getting Zelda done, you're going to have to find the right actress. to play that. With regards to Link, if you could find an actor that has the talent and the range of a young Orlando Bloom, there's Link for you.
There's just one name that keeps popping into my head at the moment.
And what's that?
Tom Holland. No, that's the fact. It's the fact that he's pretty much everywhere at the moment.
I don't know. I mean, Tom Holland is a reasonably versatile actor. I just don't know if I would, have him portray Link. I mean, at the very least, I'd see an audition and a teaser trailer, because we know he can be something else other than Peter Parker. But I don't know. With regards to Zelda, you need somebody who has this strong-willed spirit, but there's this also very graceful elegance to her. I think what they should look for, and this is purely my opinion, look for somebody who has the qualities of I'm blanking on her name. Get someone who has the qualities of a young Jennifer Connelly. Because Jennifer is one of those actresses who, she's very subtle and very reserved and almost has this classy charm about her, because most of her lines as Betty Ross in Hulk, even though we have our opinions about that movie, she was one of the very few saving graces, despite what some critics may say. But like I say, she has this elegant, sophisticated, lady-like charm about her. And I think if you were to use de-aging software, or just deep fake her young face onto her current face, there's your Zelda. On Twitter, District 9 director Blomkamp was asked if he'd want to helm a Metroid movie, and he very simply responded yes. Blomkamp has a rich history in the sci-fi genre with the Oscar-nominated District 9. I've heard very, very good things about that movie.
It's really good.
And other films like Elysium. The director also has a history with video game
Also
adaptations. He's set to release the Gran Turismo movie later this year. Interesting. The brief footage we've seen makes it look fantastic. I'm probably not going to show it on here because you know how some websites
copyright and all
that. Yes. In addition to that, he came very close to directing a Halo movie in the mid-2000s. Some of what that movie could have made its way online via a short film that he directed as camera test for the would-be movie. To really further punctuate how Blomkamp could be the man for the job, he also came very close to making a new Alien movie that would have brought back Sigourney Weaver as Ripley.
And this is why we can't have nice things.
Nope.
I wonder how they're going to explain that, especially what happened to Alien 3.
Apparently people don't...
no.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Alien Resurrection, where people are a little bit on the fence with that one. Whether or not Blomkamp will get hit to take a swing at Metroid remains to be seen, but it would be really exciting to see. What do you think of the idea? Knowing what I've seen of Metroid from what Random has played from with Metroid Prime on the GameCube, that's like one of the most iconic not just GameCube games but Nintendo games in general, because the studio that made that game, they thought everything out to a fine detail with the scans, Samus reacquiring all of her suit's capabilities, and some of the things that fans were apparently I think it was either able to unlock or some of the fan art they would draw of her. Now, for context, folks, I'm not talking about not safe for work, so, don't get out the censorships. It's basically the sort of things like, what would Samus look in cycling attire? And they made the point of making her legs seem longer than they should. Take that how you want to. And of course, we all know with, was it Smash Brothers Brawl, where she made her first appearance on there?
Nah.
Nah, that was. Oh, you mean Zero Suit Samus?
Yes.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people enjoyed that visual spectacle. I mean, hey, Samus is beautifully drawn in that, but kind of takes away from the whole point of her character being in the suit. But, we get it. With regards to who could play Samus, now apparently Brie Larson wants to play Samus, and the internet is basically saying absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm good off that.
No.
Right. I'm going to attempt to put my feelings aside for a moment for Brie Larson. I don't think she's, as an actor, I don't think she's the right choice to play Samus because, alright, in the Metroid games, Samus has, I don't think she's ever had any dialogue to work with because all you're relying on are, just her visual expressions, either through the visor or the very brief times that she has her helmet off. So I think for someone like her, you need someone that's got a very thought-provoking type of perspective where they tend to look at things from a different perspective, or they're always looking at every other angles, whereas, and I'm only going by the movies I've seen Brie Larson in, she just comes across as a little bit on the antagonistic side. And for Samus,
well, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember the first movie I seen of her, and it was that owl movie Hoot.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
What?
she was kind of aggressive, but honestly, I like during the tail end of the movie, she seemed cool, but the beginning it was like
Philosophical, that was the word I was looking for. Yeah, for someone like Samus, you need somebody who has that mindset, and from what I've seen with Brie, she doesn't portray that well. I mean, especially with Captain Marvel, I mean,
Sorry.
most of her lines in Endgame, she doesn't have as many lines as people think because the focus was mainly on the original 6, and of all their respective journeys either coming to an end or going off in different directions. But she just came across as unnecessarily aggressive. I'm like, you're meant to be a superhero. I get the point. There's a very fine line between being assertive in standing up for yourself and being straight up antagonistically aggressive or aggressively antagonistic, whichever your preference. And she would not be the right fit for Samus Aran. Although some people on occasion have suggested, why not Chloe Moretz as Samus? And given how Chloe has played characters before where they can have a very philosophical point of view, I'd be at the very least be open to seeing a screen test just to see how she could do, because Chloe is a very good actress. She hasn't been getting many of the bigger movie roles. I mean, the most recent big movie role was her doing the Tom and Jerry movie, which I heard she was actually kind of good in that, because she's actually trying to move into comedy a little bit, because we saw with the movie Laggies, and in the UK it was retitled to Say When. Why? I don't know. She can do the comedic stuff, and as we've all seen from the two Kick-Ass movies, good lord, she has got snark that would make Win blush in embarrassment. As for a live-action Metroid movie, I'm not a huge fan of the franchise, but even I would be open to... I'll give it a look. You know, if you get it to go through and you do it right, and you get somebody like Blomkamp who knows how to do the sci-fi, and you get writers that have the same passion and enthusiasm like those who wrote the Sonic movie, I'm down for it. Raiden, your 2 cents.
Hey, listen, I've seen a couple of Neil Blomkamp's movies, and yeah, like I said, District 9's are really good movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like aside from like the action, there's like just a good story, you know, of a human and an alien just trying to get into his family. And honestly, I feel like he's definitely the right person for a Metroid movie. I mean, you already mentioned Metroid Prime, and I remember the commercial for that. And yeah, I think for some of the scenes, it was completely live action, and just the way the suit moves and everything. Yeah, this could work as a movie. A person who would be Samus, honestly, man, it's no cons for me. Gotta go with Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh.
I mean, have you seen how tall that woman is? And if you see how tall Samus is, she definitely fits the bill. I mean, of course, you can need stunt performers to do like the jumps and all that, especially with the screw attack and all that jazz. But still, she will be good for the job. For story purposes, and look, a lot of people just do not like this game, but if you can do the origin story, especially with Metroid, like with Metroid Other M, on how the Ridley storyline, that could work. I don't know, like, and off topic, the way that shit was handled, like, and this took place after Super Metroid, possibly one of the best Metroid games of all time. You have her have PTSD, okay? Ridley killed her parents, that's good, but she fought this thing twice and won. So I still don't get that, but yeah, if you put that scene in there, it would definitely help, especially. So, but yeah, I feel like a Metro movie would help. I mean, the success of the Super Mario movie is like astronomical. It even took down Disney. And when you take down Disney, you're already a bona fide legend. Mm-hmm. Something that Katzenberg could never do. Oops, sorry, not sorry. but a Metroid movie would work. You just gotta get the. I mean, of course, Neil Blomkamp would work, but you gotta get the right piece and like the effects to get it right, because we've come so far. So I would be down for it, and to hear that he's the guy that's gonna do the Gran Turismo movie, all right. And a lot of people crap on video game movies nowadays, but we're entering a new renaissance. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario, their movies are successful, so might as well do more, you know. Especially with Nintendo, which they're very leery with their you know
IPs.
Thank you. With their IPs, especially what I've heard to the other person, but yeah, that case in point, don't fuck with Nintendo. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I would not mind a Metro movie if it does right. I'll be there in the theaters.
Sir Steven?
Well, I can see it working. I mean, I remember watching District 9 many years ago, and it was one of the most impressive stories involving aliens that I've ever seen. If they, so applying that to a Metroid movie, especially with Samus, I think that would make some great storytelling.
All right. Okay.
Not much else I can say after that.
Oh yeah, just seen the in the Unicron confirmed. Oh great. All right.
Look at the bright side. At least it isn't what happened last night and tail end of the movie.
We don't talk about that movie.
At least it's a plot thread that is never going to be resolved anytime soon.
Thank the good Lord.
Looking at you, Mr. Lorenzo.
Ugh. On to something just as irritating.
Before that, I mean, we already know me and Steve saw the trailer. MJ, what'd you think of the Rise of the Beast trailer?
I like it. Definitely adds. There's definitely a lot more to look into it, and I like how it's gone into the 90s and not completely into the modern era, because it would be a bit of a jump to go from what was it, 1987,
I believe,
in Bumblebee, so it's only 7 years on from that.
Yes.
They're kind of doing what they did with the X-Men First Class era. They only jump ahead 10 years at a time, so okay.
And from what I see, it feels like it's continuing on the Bumblebee movie, but it's a reboot.
Also, what I like about it is that I'm finally getting what the Bayformers didn't give me. Well, aside from Age of Extinction, I'll still defend the movie till the day. I still think that movie is well done.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're showing more of the Transformers itself. That's that. Those are the highlights. I mean, it's what I like about the trailers, that they're showing they are showing humans, but the main thing are the Transformers themselves. And yeah, it's showing, it's looking pretty well. For ask me. I think so far Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal is pretty decent. I mean, it's Ron Perlman.
Yeah. I swear. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I swear, like during the last part of the trailer, when you see all of the beasts fighting alongside the Autobots, it's like part of me just squeed when that happened, because to me it felt like Primal was channeling Monster vs. Kong at one moment.
Nice.
Godzilla X-Kong. Can't wait for the trailer for that.
Oh yeah.
Sean's actually said in the comments, yes to a Metroid movie. If they do a Metroid that has the X-Parasite, they should get the team who did The Thing to work on them, and then they could say they could try and find someone that was raised by birds.
Oh my god! Oh my! If they get those people, oh my! And listen, The Thing is possibly one of the greatest horror movies to date. I mean, you can still watch it. I feel like for me, it still holds up to this day, especially how the practical effects. Oh wow!
I assume he's referring to the 70s one, not the prequel 2011 movie.
Oh no, we don't speak about that movie.
No, that creature from the first movie.
The CGI for that movie is terrible. I never watched the movie. I only saw like the kill count of it. I've seen another review. I've seen like E-Rod the Blockbuster Bus review of it. Oh my! I mean, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, how you doing? Of course, but
but
If you want to see a classic, go for the John Carpenter version with Kurt Russell, Keith David, and the late great Wilford Brimley. Check that.
Oh yes.
That one has a great story. The paranoia, just I don't know, man.
And the practical effects, as you said.
Yeah, special effects crazy.
See, that's why I was referring to that creature in the original movie. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. On to our next article. Velma creator responds to negative backlash. Get the popcorn, folks. This is going to be great. Velma took over HBO Max when it first debuted early this year for better or worse, and the series created behind the new take on the Scooby-Doo franchise has shared their response to the negative backlash to the series. When Velma was first announced to be in production, fans of the long-running Scooby-Doo animated franchise seemingly took umbrage with how much this new spin will be changing the original series. This negativity continued even further when Velma premiered its episode and turned out to be one of the most watched new animated debuts with HBO Max this year so far. This negative backlash fueled viewers to check out Velma and became one of the streamer's top performers. So it was no surprise when plans for a Velma Season 2 were quickly put in place, considering how big the response to the new series were overall. Velma series creator, showrunner, and executive producer Charlie Grandy spoke about Velma to Emmy Magazine and actually had a response to the fans who didn't like the new takes on the Scooby-Doo characters. Responding to critics of Velma's new version of the Scooby-Doo characters, Velma creator Charlie Grandy said, "The original Hanna-Barbera shows are still out there to watch. We are not erasing the originals. We just want to be a little ice planet on the outer regions of the Scooby-Doo verse. Can't you just be in another dimension where neither of you acknowledge each other?
Can't you just be in the void where nothing exists ever?"
Like Michael Bay's creativity and tact. Detailing how he and series executive producer Mindy Kaling came up with Velma's concept in the first place, Grandy noted, "Mindy came to me and she'd love to work on a story with Velma. She loved the character and thought it'd be funny to have her at the center of a show." I don't think the problem per se is having Velma as a character. It's how the character is handled.
Is she referring to Velma or herself in that context? I'm sorry, it's very hard to tell.
In making Velma a character of South Asian descent, we asked ourselves, why stop there? Grandy explained, none of these characters are rooted to being white. We were worried about going to Warner Bros. And asking them to do it, but they said, do it, it's time. Just make sure it's funny and good. And you failed on both counts, apparently. It seems like...
Miserably.
Mm-hmm. And as Raider would say, and slanderingly as well.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Velma's changes to its core were approached with making a funny yet different final product. I wouldn't know about funny. With Velma Season 2 in early development, it appears the show was successful, all for the wrong reasons. What did you think of Velma's debut on HBO Max? Did its changes in the Scooby-Doo franchise bother you? Let us know your thoughts about it and everything in animation in the comments. I will say, I only saw 20 seconds and I wanted those 20 seconds back. Here's the thing. And we've said this before with regards to changing aspects of a character. If you're gender swapping or changing a character's ethnicity, if you're going to do it where it feels natural. Don't do it just for the sake of to fill quotas, and the most common denominator is when studios are looking to pander to specific audiences, because as we've highlighted before, Band and President was not a fan of what they did with Terminator Dark Fate, killing off John Connor, bringing in Danny Ramos just to pander to the Latin American community. She was very offended by that, courtesy of her NWO pipe bomb styled rant. Still had fun working on that, because you imagine what it'd be like if Lids had come out on Monday Night Raw, did a CM Punk rant, but it's done to like the NWO's music with visuals. That would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at when they made Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, in today's modern age, it works. Because when you look at Sam Jackson playing Nick Fury, you just see a good actor. A very good actor, I might add, and you don't care that it's a different ethnicity, because at the end of the day, if the actor puts in a good performance, you're not going to care. And it's the same thing, and it's the same thing with the lawyer from Jessica Jones, because in the comic, the lawyer is male. But the context of how it's done in what was a Marvel Netflix series, it worked, changing her to female. It just worked. If you write the character to where it's an organic fit, and just for context, folks, even Razor Fist praised this. Let that sink in a minute.
Yeah.
Then it's fine. But the problem is, it's not so much that they changed Velma to be a character of Southeast Asian descent. Got it there eventually. It's the fact that her character was written to be one of the most insufferable, annoying, and hated characters. And what they did to Shaggy. Because Shaggy, the appeal about Shaggy is he's a lovable goof. And what they did to him as Norwood, it didn't work. People say it's Shaggy. It's like, no, it's not. You think Shaggy, you think of the animated movies and the series, and with what Peter Lillard did becoming the official voice actor, because Casey Kasem was so impressed with his performance in the live action movie, said, it's yours. And when you've got the OG telling the new kid, you're good. I mean, when I heard Peter first time as Shaggy, I'm like, is that Casey Kasem as a young man? Because the voice was so on point. But the problem with Velma is, it's just not funny.
It really isn't.
I mean,
no.
Animation-wise, it looks good. But you could have called these characters different names, and it probably might not have been as well received, but because they are carrying the names of iconic legacy characters, I think that's what stung the audience. I've not seen anything past those 20 seconds, and I'm not going to put myself through what everyone else has been put through, to where they're having to plug their ears and then wash their eyes out with bleach. Granted, that's just a figure of speech, folks, but you get the context.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to their response to the negative feedback, I'm 50-50 with it. They're saying, yeah, we're not messing with what's established, but at the same time, I feel like they could have addressed and say, okay, tell us what you don't like about it, and we'll see if we can come to a compromise where everyone gets what they want. But they're almost basically saying, well, if you don't like it, tough.
Gee, how very Paul Feig of you. I'm sorry. Well, actually, I'm not sorry.
I mean,
that's how I see it.
See, with that type of response, it does depend in the context of how it's done. If you see something that on TV you don't like, you do the sensible thing, you just switch channels. It's as simple as that. But they're almost saying like, well, if you don't like what we have, well, that's tough because we're going to stick with what we're doing. It depends what it is, who's saying it, and what audience they're saying it to. Because if you're taking something that's had too many elements that some... I really don't like using this word now because this word gets used too often, but there's too many woke elements to where they start taking and they don't like it. It's like, well, we're taking those out because we're actually trying to improve the show. Now, I'm all for making a show watchable where everyone can enjoy it, to where you're not having something put in there that's looking to offend for the sake of, but at the same time, you're not trying to walk on eggshells. I mean, if you look at Top Gun Maverick, for example, I can't really think of anything in there that was remotely offensive. And because it was written like an 80s action movie but done from a modern perspective is what made it work, because people that are fans of that particular movie genre from that time just want a simple, straight to the point, start here, hero's in this situation, and he ends up in this situation at the end, perfect story. But the problem with what they've done with this particular version of Velma and various other animated shows, they try to put too many social political perspectives. Is probably a much more pliable way of thinking to describe it, and audiences don't want that. You know, we've said this before. If you have a show that's about politics, yeah, you talk about stuff that's about politics. But if you have a show that's like that Scooby-Doo, it's goofy, balls to the walls, you know, animated fun, where there are some parts of it that make you think, because obviously it's a detective mystery show, so there's going to be some parts that are thought-provoking, but not to the point of, say, BBC Sherlock. I mean, that show, very, very clever, even to this day. And also because Benedict Cumberbatch is just an absolute savage as Sherlock. But it sounds to me like, in a weird way, that they're not listening to the negative reaction, and I don't know. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, just sounds like they're pulling a Paul. As I may have said, it sounds like they're just pulling a Paul Feig.
Yeah.
The amount of things that they did on that show were just disgusting. And
I won't even ask.
well, for one thing, towards the end of the show, I'm just going to come out and say it because it's just so god awfully bad. Not only it's not only bad writing, but it's just so mean spirited. It's on Family Guy levels. Basically, it turns out that
I would go, for me. I would go that far, but I will agree. It's just not for me. It's just not fun. It's just not funny at all. I've seen reviews of it. I've seen all of it. I'm just like,
So
it's funny.
So basically, what you're saying is only Rikaku could write a better script.
Yes.
well, you could probably write a novel several times greater than that.
Folks, we have reached. You have reached rock bottom. If Oni could write something better, and dude, that's not a diss towards you. That's actually a compliment. So please take it as such.
He actually saw bits of a review online, and he did not like it one bit.
And he hates everything.
But what I was trying to say for the end of basically the big bad guy of the whole series turns out to be a relative of Fred.
What?
They some sort of science bollocks that I have no time for. She ends up getting murdered, and then in celebration, Velma ends up twerking.
Huh?
I'm not kidding.
You can't see it, but my eyebrow is twitching. I'm like, now I hear that. What? And we thought it was bad enough when She-Hulk did that.
And at this point, Fred is pretty much a collapsed mess, and Velma is just covered in blood, just twerking for the sake of yay, got the bad guy.
My brain's gone numb. I've never heard anything so dumb, thoughtless, and so asinine.
That's what I mean by the show being mean-spirited. Just doesn't care. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but if they think that was a good idea for a show, then you really should have had a second opinion on that.
I got nothing. Literally and figuratively, folks. I've got nothing. Raiden.
Ball again. I don't want to hear about the show. I don't care about the show. Mindy Kaling, no disrespect, but this show is basura.
Oh.
Yikes.
What you did to Shaggy is disrespectful to no end. How dare you? I don't care if he's black. You neutered him. You made him a simp. You do not do that.
Just like they did to Megatron.
The fact that you keep the fact that you kept disrespecting cartoon that people my age that watch cartoons. Steve's right. This shit ain't funny at all. Thank you. Fuck you. Bye.
Boom.
I take it they deserve L.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
They don't just deserve an L, they deserve a nuclear L. And thankfully, we will move on to something else, and this is kind of going to be a palate cleanser because I saw this the other day and not necessarily, well, there are some parts that are fun, that are amusing, but it's more like, wow, these people, there's something else. So, when you're ready, I'm at 0.
Alright, hold on.
Let's see. Okay,
Oh, no, I
I
gotta
am
get
at
through like
0.
gotta get through 2 ads first.
Sure. Yeah, because I've noticed YouTube are doing a thing now where they're playing ads on people's videos that aren't even
monetized.
Nope. Because I noticed 1 or 2 of my videos got ads on them, and I'm not part of the partnership.
Yeah, of course they are.
All right, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, play.
Meet Steph Curry of Sanitation from New York City.
What the?
Eh?
Someone's at his
This
Weetabix
guy went
today.
80 degrees up the sand wall to take the meaning of balance to another
What?
level.
Wow. I call hacks.
That's
When you
such.
love
All
archery
right.
and gymnastics so much that you combine their magic, this is Shannon Michaela's incredible archery skills.
Wow.
Wow.
That is impressive.
Lady, you may as well be superhuman.
The man demonstrated his fire katana like an anime character.
It's like I'm watching Demon Slayer.
Is it just me or does that look awesome?
It does.
It does.
Season 3's out in May,
This
by the
is
way.
to remind everyone that age is just a number.
That's gonna be good.
Whoa.
Yep.
Let's not judge people's strength with their arms, because even this skinny girl could score this high.
Damn.
Dang.
one-armed man couldn't
Marry
be
me.
more impressive than when he did an overhead press.
Wow.
I like how the guy in the wheelchair is like, what?
He just made us question gravity after jumping
Kill
that
Bill
wedge
type
with
stuff.
8 kilograms in his hands.
Let's see this.
Whoa.
Wow.
Hello.
This man's reality is every new boxer's fantasy. Who doesn't want to be this good with a spar bar one day?
Wow.
Ugh.
Matt Murdock says hi.
If your waiter removed fish bones expertly like this one, how much would you tip him?
20.
Absolutely.
Fish bones can be
It
nasty.
takes an immense amount of sheer talent to perform this stunt of ice skating at 100 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
Whoa.
So this man just painted portraits on ice
Painted for
with
the
some
Olympics.
charcoal, earth, and water nearby. That's cold.
Wow.
Okay.
Reminds me of Art Attack.
Mm.
The guy
Neil
was
Buchanan.
so busy in
Yep.
showing off his hair that he didn't notice how dangerous it could have been. Talk about good luck.
Whoa.
He's definitely S-class.
This driver
That's it,
ran
radio.
out of gas, but his great maneuvering saved him. Normal engines really are built differently.
They are.
Well, it's the land of the Vikings.
Yeah.
By the way, saw... Wow. By the way, saw Viking Wolf on Netflix. Good movie.
Ooh.
I checked the trailer for
The
that.
man
I'll
didn't
check
let
that out.
his
I'll
weakness
definitely check
get
that out
in the
later.
way of his love for kickflips.
Yeah. Hey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Though the dude nailed the stunt with an incredible balance, how did he even think of riding a bike on a tennis net?
He must have trained with Undertaker.
Mm.
Yeah.
Old school, baby.
This player effortlessly scored and
I wonder if he
made a
was taken to
fool out
court.
of the goalkeeper at the same
Ah,
time.
ha, ha, ha.
Ah.
I see
Wow.
no fault with that.
Modern day
These tricks are
Mighty
already
Duck.
quite impressive, but this dude on a wheelchair makes them all the more thrilling to watch.
Whoa.
Whoa.
10.1 out of 10.
Now that's being handy capable.
Yes.
Another rollerblades around a rail like it's absolutely
Sonic
nothing.
Adventure 2.
Mm-hmm.
Also Jet Set Radio.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They actually made soap
Classic.
shoes specifically for that.
If escaping has a style, this is it.
Yo.
I'm surprised the glass didn't break there.
Right.
Ooh.
Wait for it.
Okay.
Wait for it.
7-10
Worker
was
casually
played.
strolled across a power line and switched the
I'll
security
stuff
rope as if
this.
it was a piece of cake.
I can't. No.
That's terrifying.
Very.
Yeah. God.
Many paragliders would
Oh,
have given
Lord.
up, but he didn't and landed safely. Adrenaline rush is indeed a lifesaver.
Whoa.
Oh man.
Anxiety at 11.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
Woo.
Cut
Talk
my
about being
hands sweaty
close.
just by watching this.
watch this.
Oh. Okay, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's dope.
That is
Hey.
This is what
That's
Jenga
impressive.
in real life would be like.
Jenga.
Wow.
whoa.
Woo. Oh man.
Cheers to this lad
Jeez.
for being alert when the car starts rolling backwards.
The Force is strong with this one.
Some folks like him have mastered the art of parenting. No reaction to feed the drama. Instead, just grab and go.
Yep.
Hmm.
Parenting, you are succeeding.
Yep.
Watch this.
Okay.
Whoa.
This man started making saltos with no hands. Is this a gravity glitch in real life?
Hacks.
Even Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders will be speechless if he witnessed this insane paper and scissors skills.
Damn.
This is how a
Damn.
waiter served an expensive bubble as a dessert in Spain.
Expensive bubble? The hell?
Yep.
Bubbles are not
What is that?
expensive?
What is that? Helium?
What the heck? Okay.
That's
Okay.
the mana.
Okay.
Guy got the right tool before
Oh.
landing some next to impossible jumps.
Woo! Wow.
Wow.
Oh man. That's what you see in
This
Ninja
is what
Warrior.
Control and willpower
Yep.
together looks like.
Wow. Hey. Oh,
Remember, always wear your seatbelt.
watch this.
What? Oh man.
That's so many mind games.
Invisible stairs.
He's like a mime.
Yep.
I don't know if this is what moonwalking on the x-axis looks like.
And you see Zach from Power Rangers taking notes.
Mm. That is one long boat.
Very. Whoa.
The cricket player could not catch the ball in time, so he prevented it from touching the boundary.
It's all in the timing. Watch the feet.
Wow.
Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy.
That's unbelievable to feeling.
He might have been a goalkeeper in a previous life.
Play by Ashton.
Hmm.
This badass is skating and playing ball at the same time.
Skateball?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I needed that.
Yeah. That. Just wow. I think after Velma, like I said, the Velma stuff, like we needed a palate cleanser, and
Yeah.
that is some of the most insane stuff I've ever seen. I think the guy doing the mime on the bars, making it look like his feet are actually going up a wall, even though there's nothing there. It's like, okay, you're good. You're good. And Sean just says it right there, those are some mad skills. Oh, he said earlier, it's a good thing I got better shows to watch. One of them sadly ended, like The Owl House. Yeah, don't remind us, dude. We're salty about that as well.
Yeah.
Well, for me on the bright side, at least there's especially next month, there's Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
Ah.
Although Dana
I think.
Go on.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I was going to say the next project that there's going to I think this week coming, there's going to be like an convention or event that showcases some more animated things coming out this year and next year. One of them is another one of yeah, how do you pronounce his first name? Jared Taranovsky.
Gendy Tartakovsky.
Yeah, he's got another project fixed that's going to be showcased.
Cool.
Okay.
Anything Tartakovsky related, I'm already seated.
Yeah.
I think with from what I've been hearing about the Owl House, Dana Terrace has teased that there is the possibility that we might get a season 4, or we might get a spin-off series, one of which might either be looking at Ida and Lilith during their magic school years, or saying going like 10 or 12 years into the future, where we see the children of Luce, Amity, Gus, Willow, and Hunter going on their journeys. Personally, I would rather see just the next journey for Luce and company during their college years, because I don't want it to be so much of a time jump where you're seeing at that point possibly radically different characters, because people, not just in fiction but in life as well, tend to go through a lot of changes in just say 5 to 6 years. To go and make a jump, say 10 to 12 years into the future, we wouldn't have the context of what they had gone through. So at the very least, I would like to see either a prequel series of what Ida was like during her high school years, and then to the point where Lilith cursed her, which she didn't want to do from what we've seen in flashbacks, because Ida was never going to go through with the contest anyway, because even back then, Ida being who she was, she had boundaries. But it's because of Lilith going with the Coven, going out to get Ida brought in, then finding out she cursed her. It'd be interesting just to sort of explore that, just to see what Ida would have gone through in all that time. The only resolution I would like to have seen resolved is whether Ida could have had her curse removed, because she might be a teacher of wild magic at the end of the season 3 finale, but she doesn't have her magic back. She can only become the Harpy Lady. And while that's an evolution of her character even in of itself, her whole purpose, particularly when her character arc started, she wanted to get the curse lifted and just be able to use her magic. So depends how you look at things, but is what it is. And we've done that one. This one is about the Texas rattlesnake. Let me just bring that article
Is
up.
that right?
The match he wish he had. Steve Austin opened Pandora's box last spring, and it will never likely be shut again. This is in reference to the fact he ended his 2-decade retirement to face Owens at WrestleMania 38, besting the current undisputed tag team champion in an impressive 13-minute showcase. Many believe Austin's performance at AT&T was proof that he could become a part-time wrestler entirely, operating on a similar schedule to the ones used by Goldberg and The Undertaker throughout the 2010s. While Austin agrees that he could still go for another contest physically, he is not in the business of begging for more matches. That said, there are opponents that make the Texas Rattlesnake ask, what if? What if some stars like John Cena John Cena and CM Punk caught fire in WWE far after Austin had hung up his boots, but others did briefly share a locker room with the former WWE WrestleMania headliner in the final days of his full-time career. That guy is Brock Lesnar, Austin told Wesh2 News when asked about who he wishes he had the chance to wrestle before retiring. Austin versus Lesnar is actually a bit of an infamous story. The two were scheduled to face each other in a King of the Ring qualifying match on television, but Austin disagreed with the booking and ultimately walked out of the company. And as I've said on so many occasions, I'm 50-50 with it. I get why he did it, but I don't agree with how he went about doing it, and even he regrets that. Way back in the day, I was scheduled to wrestle him in Atlanta at a televised television taping. The match wasn't great as far as creative goes, so it never happened. That's the match that got away. I have so much respect for Brock and watching him go through the evolution of becoming one of the best pros out there. To go into the MMA world and become a world champion, he's had a heck of a journey, and no one has had a career like his, and his longevity has been supreme. Brock Lesnar would be my answer. He did not make any type of appearance at WrestleMania 39, but Austin has reportedly pitched multiple matches for SoFi's Stadium showcase of the Immortals. Rumors swirled that both Lesnar himself, as well as the undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns, were floated to Austin. While he did not confirm which match he was offered, Austin recently said that the reason he turned down a WrestleMania 39 match was due to it being a big one and not having the time to train enough to do it justice. Him versus Brock would have been an intriguing day at the races, at the ring, day at the beach, call it whatever you want to. Austin as a brawler versus Brock, who is just an insane smash mouth competitor that has the brute strength and power and yet is so quick and agile in the ring. I mean, you look at the size of Brock. I mean, Brock is about 6'6", 6'8", give or take. And the way he moves around in the ring, you'd swear this was like an athlete under 200 pounds or thereon, and yet he just moves around so quick. If Austin was still in his prime and was able to go, I think if you gave the match a good 30-minute classic, like some of his matches were with The Rock, or even trying to do something similar to what he did with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, you would have definitely seen something special, because Lesnar would definitely try to use his ominous size and power, but Austin has that stubborn rattlesnake resilience. He does not go down without a fight. Even when he's been on the losing end of some of them, like I mentioned with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, because keep in mind, folks, in a submission match, although Bret won the match, he only won the match just because Ken Shamrock stopped the fight because Austin passed out. And the sharpshooter, if anyone's ever been in a submission hold, and trust me, I've been in one or two, I'm just saying this for chronological and contextual purposes. Random once put me in the angle lock. It hurt. I saw the funny side of it later, but at the time I'm just like, you're a dick. But it's random, everything is always in jest, but at the same time, what the hell, dude? But no, Austin versus Lesnar. If it's one of those matches where Brock is not squashing people like he did to Kofi on the, SmackDown's premiere on Fox Sports, because I don't know how you feel about this, Raiden, but the way that Kofi got tossed aside like an afterthought like that, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. And from what I've heard from Sean Ross Sapp, even when Kofi Mania began, the plan was always to get Kofi to get squashed by Brock.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that after something like, 11 to 12 years since he first came into the company, he actually got a world title reign, because he was long overdue. And I'd been saying at that point, when we were doing Raw Down Rebound as far back as 2011, Kofi is a future world champion. He's got the ring skill, he's got the tenacity, especially with the stuff that he's done at with the Royal Rumble escapes over the years. Although to this day, my most favorite is the handstand from 2012. That was so well done. Or when he landed on the ring barricades and then just jumped back to the apron, I'm like, okay, I like that. But yeah, the fact he hasn't had a world title reign since, like, okay, I see. But back to the matter at hand. As to how that match would turn out, I think it would mean more if Stone Cold were to win that potential matchup, because on paper you would look at Brock and think, oh yeah, Brock, even as good as Austin is, he would put him over. I think it would mean more if Stone Cold got the W, because you don't squash Austin. You just don't. That'd be like, well, just doing to what they did to Daniel Bryan again at WrestleMania 28. It's just like 18 seconds. Really, dude? You're going to go that route? Current Brock, because Brock has really matured and developed as a competitor in the last few years, because he does seem to be like, he was actually enjoying being in the company until they turned him heel for the umpteenth time. I don't know. It'd be an interesting match to see. Raiden, what do you think about the thoughts of the match we could have had in 2002, and what would you say to next year at WrestleMania if it was Austin versus Lesnar?
If anything, I feel like that it would be a retirement match for Lesnar in itself. That's the way I see it. If I could redo it, I would just have it a King of the Ring, not just a qualifying match, just as the finals.
Yes.
And that will be Austin putting over Brock, because that's the way I would do it. Simple as that.
He said something very, very similar in his final DVD Blu-ray release on Bottom Line. He said, I'll work with anybody and put anybody over, but when it's right, if it's right, because he thought the idea, and I absolutely agree with this, the idea of Austin versus Lesnar in a qualifying match, you're not going to try to build this up for 2 to 3 weeks and get a big number out of it, and it's just like, I don't have a pretty big head, but guys like me are hard to find. And it did not make sense to him to have him lose to Lesnar on a qualifying match. I mean, this at the time he was a 6-time WWE champion, the only 3-time Royal Rumble winner, King of the Ring winner himself from '96. I agree completely with your point of view. If it had been the King of the Ring final, and you have the creative team say, you're going to put over Brock with this, I'd be like, okay, You know, because that's where you do it. You don't do it. That would be like Undertaker losing to somebody in like a pre-show match for WrestleMania. You don't do that. No. Steven, are you calling Mulligan?
Yep.
Okie dokie. We'll probably do maybe one or two more articles. The only reason we're going slightly longer is because, you know, we're not having to rush this evening because, as I say, folks, I'm on time off for good behavior at the moment.
Ah.
Yeah. Walter Jones talks about bringing back Hip Hop Kido, and it was badass to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the original Power Rangers cast members made their grand return to the franchise after many years for a 30th anniversary reunion with Netflix, and Power Ranger star Walter Jones opened up on comicbook.com about bringing Zack Taylor's Hip Hop Kido for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always, and the man has not missed a step. The new special celebrating Power Rangers' 30th anniversary saw Jones returning with David Yost, Billy Cranston for the first time in decades to reprise their original roles as they took on a classic enemy with a new look to boot. And Barbara Goodson was as ham as ever, but slightly darker. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always featured some pretty huge moments for the two returning stars, and one that immediately stood out to fans was how Jones returned to Zack's Hip Hop Kido for a new fight against the Putties. It was one of the many Zack characteristics fans still fondly remember from the original, and Jones explained to comicbook.com that the Hip Hop Kido sequence came together through some collaborative work between Jones and the stunt team. Hip Hop Kido was something that was created for me. He began detailing the new Hip Hop Kido sequence in Once and Always. I was able to sit down with the stunt guys and walk through what I wanted to do and explain to them why it was going to work, why this worked so that this would work in this way. And it was interesting because I would talk to the stunt guys and they would ask advice. As Jones broke down the final sequence, had plenty of his own input, and when asked by the stunt team, well, in Hip Hop Kido, how would you do the sequence? And I go, well, thinking from a hip hop perspective, I'd probably move to here and then go here because that ideally makes sense to me, and the way of the movement was a lot of fun. Obviously, Hip Hop Kido is more painful than it used to be, but we knocked it out and they were like, Zack still got it. Hey, Zack, don't crack, let's go. If fan response to the scene is anything to go by, then Jones was definitely successful with Hip Hop Kido's return. What did you think? Let us know in the comments below. I looked at it and I'm like, it's like 1993 was yesterday. The man still had it. And then some.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, absolutely. Zack has aged extremely little. He might be a little more distinguished, but when you put the side-by-side comparison photos together, there's very little difference. It's like maybe only 5 or 6 years have passed. And listening to his voice as well, it's a tiny little bit raspier and a little bit seasoned, but the youthful enthusiasm is still there. Raiden, your thoughts on the fact that Zack could still pull it out?
Yeah, it's like you said, Zack don't crack, you know? So it's like, hey man, if you got it, you got it. Simple as that, man. You see, and he got it. He aged gracefully.
Yeah. Sir Stephen?
Nothing I can add that hasn't already been said.
Alrighty then. Let's see. Yep, already covered that one. Now, this is going to be an open discussion to end this evening. What would the co-hosts and indeed the audience, what would you like to see in season 13 of Sunday Night Live when it comes back, say, late August or anywhere to mid-September, and to keep this as on point and as brief as possible, it all depends on the summer humidity, because Stephen and I have noticed very quickly it's been getting warmer over here in the UK at night, and it's one of the reasons why I don't do too much production work during the summer for Real Features, because last summer no one was getting anything done.
It was too hot to even go outside and walk around for a few hours.
I find,
And that's saying something, folks.
it's too hot, and I shall word this in a very discreet way. It's too hot when all you're doing is walking down the street for 5 minutes, not even at a quick pace. You're taking your time, you're walking slowly to conserve your energy and conserve whatever moisture you've consumed, preferably water at that time of the year, and already you feel like you need to change your t-shirt. That's when it's too hot. It gets to a point whenever I go off shopping, or if I'm just going off to grab my coffee from Costa in the summer, even when I'm just taking my backpack, because you never know when you need carrier bags, because supermarkets don't hand out as many carrier bags as they used to. And I find it ironic that they want to cut back on the bags for life when the whole point of it is a bag for life because it's reusable. But I'm not going to get off onto a tangent. I come back and I'll feel rather uncomfortable, and then I go to look at why the shirt is the way it is, and I'm like, okay, this is happening. So dependent on when we come back, what would you, the audience, like to see more of from the format, and what would you like to see less of? And as someone who's very astute and somebody who tells it like it is as well, Steve, what would you like to see from season 13, and what would you like to see less of?
Oh, that is a tricky question. I think one thing I would like to see more is maybe one or two more, like if say we've just had like what we had with the Velma topic, maybe like a palate cleanser video.
Okay. More palate cleanser videos.
Because it just helps to break up the flow of negativity.
I'm all for that. Okay. Raiden, same question to you.
Yeah, I agree with Steven. Any just topic that just makes us annoyed, just get a palate cleanser, and after that we just continue on from schedule. I don't know. I guess that's it. I mean, I think that's the only change.
The reason I asked this question, because obviously, as a streamer on here, I want to be able to, be able to talk about the topics that I want to, and what you guys want to talk about. But at the same time, I want to keep the audience entertained. I want to build the numbers up, because I do this because I enjoy it. Going back as far as 2016, when I first started doing live streams on YouTube, but it would only be for WWE preview and review panels, because, and this is something I've explained and argued with Oni at length, and he would always want to do things with Skype And whilst there is an advantage with doing recorded panels with that, it's the actual production time of putting that all together. It can get too enduring and monotonous. Whereas with streaming, you know, the only preparation you're doing is whatever notes that you're prepping for the time that you're doing it, and just being able to get around the table. There is the downside with streaming in that you don't get to edit the streams until after the panel has gone off the air, because we had an awkward situation where at the time, and I'm not, yes, there's a biker thing going by, pay no attention to that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the person's name because they've since apologized for this multiple times and they've learned the lesson, so I'm not going to draw any further attention to them. But they said something that they weren't aware of was not only inappropriate but also derogatory at the time. And Raiden, you would know because you were actually on that panel for SummerSlam 2017, because I had to take I had to download the stream once we went off the air, and I had to cherry pick those specific moments out so that there wasn't any inconsistency, so that all reference to it were taken out completely. So that is the downside when you're doing things live. You have to be very, very, very careful with what you say. And I've had some instances where I will have said not anything, how to word this, not anything damning, but sometimes you'll say something where it's either a slip of the tongue, or you say something that you think is one thing, where you'll say, for the sake of the discussion, like bread and butter pudding, but then you'll say bread and banana pudding. Sometimes you trip over your tongue. It happens. Sometimes you'll get flustered in a moment. Maybe not as bad as Rain Whispers from Our House. Weavile relates to that guy a lot, especially that one moment where Kikamori goes like, shouldn't you be preparing for your performance? You know how I hate these things. Talking to people, waving to people. It's just it's like, folks, as an introvert, I can relate to that. Now, for context, I'm not antisocial. No. That's not the whole skinny of it. It's just that, and I think Amanda talked about this very concisely. In a situation like this, me being able to talk like this to the audience or to the people that are around me in this call, I can do that with ease. But if it's like in a group of, say, like 30 to 40 people, it's very uncomfortable, and I don't want to say claustrophobic, but it's of that similar nature and context. It's very stifling and exhausting. So me being able to talk with this particular cadence and speech pattern, this is easy street for me in this situation. But when you're in a situation where you're out in the open and there's so many people around, it I'm not an extrovert. This is why when I'm done for the day, I retreat to my bat cave or retreat to my Stark lab garage in the basement, or heck, even do a John Tracy and go up on Thunderbird 5, and I'm like, yep. I just want to keep the audience entertained, but at the same time be able to do things in a way where everybody's met 50-50 and what have you. Shark is taking an awful long time to get online, because I'm trying. See, she doesn't know that I'm not working tonight, so I'm trying to prolong this as best possible because Amanda's just a great personality. Bit of a spark plug. There are times where she has a filter but doesn't have a filter. It's kind of like, it'd be like, she kind of has a filter like Madam President. It's kind of like, imagine someone like Oni, but if they had more of a filter and actually watch what they said more. Only because we've seen some of Oni's rants from back in the day, and even Raiden's like, oh my gosh, man, this is dated.
Even and in some of his own streams where some news bits have come up,
Like Nikki Bella
he's
going
had a
into the
few
Hall
things
of
to
Fame.
say.
Like Nikki Bella going to the Hall of Fame. I saw that
Oh,
Twitch
yes.
clip. It's like Raiden once said, Oni's rage is legendary.
It is.
Yeah, but it makes for great Twitch content.
Oh, he had one Twitch clip, and I'm not making this up because Ruby, thank you for getting this Twitch clip. Oni said, and I quote, I need to watch my shit intake.
Yeah, he did. I think that was in his Batman Arkham Asylum playthrough.
It was. But yeah, I'm just trying to, find new ways of bringing the audience in. And Sean, we appreciate you so much for hanging in this long this evening, because you came over from when we used to do this on YouTube. I know some people are not too keen on we're not too keen on the idea of me coming over to Twitch, but with Twitch it's a little bit more accessible to build a niche and a community over here, because YouTube started out as a pond, but it's very, very quickly become an ocean. And yes, it's still difficult to be able to build something here on Twitch, but it's a much more practical target as opposed to, it'd be like if Raiden came up with a martial arts hip-hop fighting style called, I don't know, Kung Fu Slandering or something of that nature, and he's related. He's like, all right, I'm just writing this down for character. Cyber Raiden, the Kung Fu Slandering Master. Yes. Thank you for that, MJ. I'll just be typing this away later. Yes. YouTube, it's just become more and more difficult. Because it was much easier for me in 2007 when I was a voice for the online Knight Rider community, but now you've got the Knight Rider historians, and Universal never liked it when I did episodes of the Knight Rider reviews where they would actually block a lot of my videos worldwide and what have you. Whereas I've noticed in recent years, YouTube don't seem to be so sensitive with the copyright situation. From what I've noticed, they don't seem to be so up in arms about it. Make of that what you will. But I don't know. It's just very difficult to put the time in, and as I've highlighted before, I have to pick my spots very carefully when I go to do production for movie reviews, for real features, because the walls in this apartment building are not as soundproof as people make them out to be. And I understand Kaiju's point of view that I've got to be not louder in terms of being Oni loud, because I've heard him in some of his streams in the last few months, and ow. But when it's at a certain point in night, you've got to think about the consideration of other neighbors, and you can't go on at a specific volume, because right now I'm at indoor voice volume and there's probably maybe like an inch and a half between me and the microphone. But thankfully I've got a microphone boom arm to make things a little bit easier. So there's that. And I'm just trying to do small changes to invigorate what we do, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to make something like we were making for ourselves, because you always make something in mind where you want to make something as entertaining the way you would want to be entertained. So it's just finding a balance of being engaging, and City Island Fight has given me way more updates yet again. That game is great to play, but it's just frustrating when the notifications come saying you have these currencies finally come in, these crooks are robbing in this town. It's just like, yeah, you do that whilst I'm trying to do voiceovers, thanks a lot.
Reminds me of a time where I used to have the Simpsons Tapped Out game, and it was the Halloween update.
Oh yeah.
And was having a conversation with good friend Aaron, and suddenly all he hears is this screen notification coming in from Tapped Out, where it's just like, for the Halloween, it's like a big screen that comes out, and he was like, "What the hell was that?"
That would be extremely unnerving. I mean, as opposed to give a comparison, it'd be like Jillian from WWE going back into singing.
Oh God.
I think her character was better when she was being like the enforcer to Eminem, or being part of JBL's cabinet. But the moment they put that singing gimmick on her, and by the way, she actually had an album available on iTunes. I'm not making this up.
How well did it sell?
Not very well, to my understanding, because how to put this? The Spice Girls on their worst day would sound infinitely better.
Ugh.
Now, to be fair to the Spice Girls, yes, some of them probably needed more help than others, but when you look at Jerry Halliwell and Melanie Chisholm, more specifically, Mel C was the one who had the real voice. Not to take anything away from Mel B, but I just felt like Mel C could hold a note better. Whereas with Posh Spice, I'm going to attempt to word this tactfully. If you give her the right material, it's fine. Because if you give her material like Not Just an Innocent Girl or Let Your Head Go, it's fine. But when you give her Don't Disturb This Groove, which she actually tried her hand at R&B, the beat itself, it's fine, but it would be like... It would probably be like something akin to Alice Cooper trying to do K-pop.
Wow.
I mean, I know they do a thing in Japan known as baby metal, which is it's actually a very interesting, contrasting genre, but
Baby metal's dope.
But I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know. I don't know. So, dang it, City Island 5. No, seriously, it's getting frustrating. And I don't know if Amanda's gonna be coming on because I'm looking in her Discord. It says she's supposed to be going on at 6:15 Eastern Standard Time, and Raiden, isn't it about 6:30 where you are?
6:33.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I don't know if it's maybe like connection issues and what have you, or I know she cancelled one or two of her streams because of IRL issues, which she didn't go to and I didn't ask. All I just say in response is, hope it improves. But you know, it's something to consider for next season, just to say, like, have more palette cleansers. I think the one I need to work on, and this is just me being my worst critic, I think it's learning to catch myself when I'm going off on a tangent. I think that's probably one of my biggest faults on here, because I've got a lot to say, just like everyone else, but I think it's knowing when to be like, okay, stop at that point, dude, because you've made your point with that. And it's something I'm trying to do with real features as well, because it's one thing if you say, you know, just a reminder of what happened earlier in the movie, this is the culmination of this particular event here. But I think it's when it's something that's repeated when there's no necessity for the repetition, if that makes any sense. I think if I was able to, and we're talking in major what ifs here, if we were able to do this, I would love SKL to go back to the old time format completely. Because the viewing figure's alright. It's only like an extra 2 viewers, but 2 extra viewers is better than no extra viewers whatsoever. And because the fact, like I say, I don't have any work for the next couple of weeks, it's, you know, we're able to be a little bit more relaxed. Because let's put it this way: if you go to a movie and you know it's your day off, you tend to relax. You think, okay, I'm just gonna relax and just chill with this. But if you go to a movie and know that you've got work later, you've got it at the back of your mind a little bit. It's like, I'm not really able to relax with this. So,
Yeah.
You know,
Depends where you work.
that is true. That is true. I'm just gonna message Amanda a second. Like I said, she, you know, it says in her Discord. Oh, hang on. April. This is from April 28. Yeah, that's Friday night. So, oh well. Maybe she's not going live until much later, and if that's the case, probably just cut it here. All right.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, it's like I say, I was hoping to surprise her, but hey,
There's always there'll be other opportunities in the future, I suppose.
well, like I said, there's next week as well. Because just a reminder, folks, next week is the season 12 finale. Normally, when we go from, say, you know, for the full schedule, we tend to go from, say, and again, this all depends on the weather and the humidity. Normally, we'll go for about maybe late August, mid-September to the last Sunday before Christmas. But last year was so hot, I had to wait until the temperature had calmed enough just to be able to do SKL at 6 in the evening UK time.
Even Sean gets what we're talking about. He writes, if we're going to get that sort of heat wave this year, better put health first.
Oh, absolutely. But next week at 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time will be the Season 12 finale. Whether we'll go as long as 2.5 hours, I don't know. But I'm definitely going to have a few palate cleansers in there just in case we come across a few unpleasant topics, because this is the internet. Shit can and will happen.
In the next half hour.
I mean, just look at any time Oni decided to watch an episode of TNA or, heaven forbid, AEW, and it's like being Raiden said to him at one stage in SKL. It's just like, dude, why do you keep putting yourself through this?
Or if you want to go even further down the line, his playthrough of GTA the Defective Edition.
We do not speak of that. You know it's bad, and Raiden, you've probably heard this story. Steve actually paid 6,000 bits for him to stop. So Steve essentially gave... Right, let me just do a quick currency conversion, provided my phone decides to actually behave itself a minute.
And what you've got to understand is that bits, depending on how many bits you get on Twitch, the currency changes the amount.
Yep.
Ooh, Ruby, he's in the chat.
There was nothing wrong with GTA. It worked perfectly fine, and nothing went wrong.
Oh, we love you for it, Ruby.
Yeah. Steve paid the equivalency of £60, which for good old US dollars, Raiden, he paid $67.01.
I thought it automatically went to dollars depending on which part of the world you go at.
Well, for us, it'd still be £60 because
Yeah, to us, to the UK, it would be 60. It would be £60. In US, it would be $60.
Ruby said it went to dollars, I'm pretty sure, so okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like I say, folks, Amanda's obviously not showing up, so I was hoping to surprise her, but as Steve said, there will be other opportunities. So we are going to go raid someone just as fun. If I can get a thing to... I'm wondering, should we raid Double Toasted?
Why not?
Sure. It's their Sunday service.
Yep.
Although Spexy's online as well, her and I have a reasonably good rapport. Plus, her 59 will go up to 63. So, yep, that's the raid set up. Let's see. Right, that'll do it for this evening, folks. From myself, good night from the night.
Take care, everybody.
See y'all.
Like, I want someone to, like, tell me about their loves and interests, and then just be passionate about it, and I don't really care if it's nerdy or not. Like, if you have a bunch of, like, Digimon cards or whatever, like, I won't know how you play them, but